Hello, everybody. Good day, wherever you are. Today, I want to talk. I want to touch on a subject that nobody thinks of, and it is our collective consciousness. That's the subject I want to talk about with you. Collective consciousness. What is our collective? What is your consciousness? It's a dimension of your state of mind, and when this consciousness, what we think in our inner self, deep in our hearts, in our minds, that state of mind comes in agreement with many others around us, it becomes collective consciousness. Larger the number, greater the collective consciousness, the force of collective consciousness. And collective consciousness, interestingly, by an Indian philosopher, I think he lived in the third, subject to correction, either in the 3rd century or the 6th century. His name is Adi Shankara. What Adi Shankara said, what he described, he used a very nice analogy. He said collective consciousness is comparable to the ocean. Very powerful. Ocean can turn into a tsunami and destroy, and when it becomes a cataclysm, it can destroy the continents and the earth, right? So ocean has that innate power. When it's calm, it's great. When it becomes ferocious, that's a whole different scenario. So that is why he compared Adi Shankara, why he compared collective consciousness to ocean, because ocean is made up of water, and the water is made up of droplets, individual droplets. You take a water droplet with a spoon or something from the ocean, bring it home. Is that water, it came from the ocean, is the water droplet powerful? Can it destroy Earth? No, it's just one droplet. That droplet is so ephemeral, meaning it's not going to last too long. It will evaporate when it's exposed to sunlight. But you take that same water droplet before it evaporates, go throw it back in the ocean. That water droplets becomes the ocean. It loses its individual identity. It becomes self-effacing. Now there's no difference between that individual water droplet and the vast ocean, because that droplet is ocean. That ocean is made up of trillion, quadrillion, infinite number of droplets. Human consciousness, collective human consciousness, when we come together like water droplets, it is immense. It enjoys, it creates infinite energy, a source of energy that is infinitely powerful. So that's what it is, humanity. When we stick together, when we come to when we are in agreement uh, on something, when our agreement goes, number of us who agree come together, and our numbers go up, it creates a power of its own that can propel the person who is in the center of that agreement. It can propel that person to a higher state in the society, in the world, you name it, right? I'll give you a few examples how it works. The ballot paper, in a democracy, we vote, right? We vote. Elections come, we go vote. Given a paper ballot, we say we like this candidate, we think he's going to work for us, he's good for this party, this candidate. So elections are all completed. That person, the candidate who could have been a total non-entity until the day before, and election results are out, now he's the president of a country or prime minister of a country or governor or councillor of a city or mayor, whatever, depending on how big, how uh, greater the number of people who came together to affirm and express their collective consciousness, that person, that is in proportion, it goes in proportion to the power he is going to be vested upon. So this person who was a total non-entity till yesterday now is a powerful person, right? And he has access to all the richest people in the world, all the eminent people. Talking about riches, we'll come to that subject. I'm coming to that soon. Money. Money is an expression of collective consciousness. What is money? Nothing but a printed paper. You cannot just go on because it's printed paper. You cannot. The central bank cannot go on printing papers. The more paper money print, the value of money drops. It's called inflation. So, but what was money based off? It was based off on gold. In the olden days, the valuable, precious gold metal was considered to be. Uh, People bought it. It constituted the purchasing power of human society. So, more gold you have, you're rich. But then, based off the gold, that's another whole topic. How paper money currency came into existence from gold. Now, today it's not only gold, the black oil, which is called the oil and gas. That's how the Middle East became so rich, because the country that is rich with gas and oil, it just wields power because it becomes immensely rich. Hence, we call it black gold. All that is a part. So, money, printed paper. Today, money is printed. In US, it's a Federal Reserve, contrary to what most people think. In every country, it's a central bank, but in US, it's slightly different. It's a private corporation. Federal Reserve prints money, right? And it works in tandem with the US government as to how they could control the flow of money. So the leaders are elected with our collective consciousness. Money is a representation of our collective consciousness. Why? If you don't accept money, let's say the whole society says, I'm proffering whatever US dollars or Canadian dollars or Indian rupees or whatever, I don't know. And people say, what is this papers? We don't want it. Give us something else. We don't take, paper has no value. Yeah, you printed it in your bank. It doesn't matter. It's just, where's the value? Show us gold, right? Give us the gold, right? And the paper becomes totally useless, right? But we don't do that. We accept that paper to have a denomination, and that denomination constitutes a certain amount of purchasing power. That our consciousness, because it's accepting it, just like uh, we express our consciousness with the ballot paper, we express our consciousness by accepting it. When people collectively come together and accepting money, that that becomes a force unto itself. It just rules the world. Where did this paper get the power from? It got the power from us. That power is our collective consciousness. As an individual, we didn't confer the power. We collectively, like the vast ocean. That's what meant by collective consciousness. Ballot paper, money, and we'll, in a moment, we'll talk about God. Okay, we'll talk about God. What is God? It's an expression of insight that came out of our mind. Why? Because our forefathers had to, our ancestors had to regulate the society. Humankinds are so full of insecurities, right? And in order to regulate society, you need hope. Hope is life. Life is hope. When you have no hope, your life, you feel hopeless. That's the way life goes. Nobody can lead a life without any hope. By now, even in this moment, when I do this video, I have hope that people are going to watch this Understand this. That's the hope. If I don't have the hope, nobody's going to watch. I'm not going to waste my time sitting up in the middle of the night doing this. So that's hope. Life is hope, right? Hope is life. So human beings are insecure. These insecure and if you can tap into the human insecurities, and if you can tap into their fears, because you don't know what happens next moment, right? You may be the rich person, you still don't know, right? Uh, Money cannot, there are things, there's a there are things that falls into the known, unknown realm that money cannot penetrate, right? So one such thing is life, right? We don't know. We don't know how long we are going to be here, what we are destined to do, all those things. Everything happens by some stroke of luck. So that's as far as consciousness, right? So money is that. Uh, Electoral process is that. God is that, right? God is like, if it's a number game. If more people worship a God, that God becomes infinitely powerful. Like, say, take a look at, just citing example. I'm not trying to, I'm very, I don't subscribe to any, I should have said it when at the beginning. This is my disclaimer. I don't subscribe to any political narrative, any political dogma. I do not subscribe to any religious dogmas. I try to consider myself an independent observer of the world, right? I look at the world with an open mind. World is world is my home. I try to transcend borders and linguistic differences, ethnic differences, racial uh, differences. All that is, for me, it's, I don't even see that, right? And what I see is what most people don't want to see. That's what I'm trying to share. So collective consciousness, you take, for instance, go take a look at a place like Mecca, where, you know billions of people probably going there to worship. So Allah is becoming very powerful. How? Because we are transferring our collective consciousness. But we are human delusion is such, we think the God that came out of our inside exists in the exterior realm, but it exists in our consciousness. Imagine, you're dead, right? You're dead. You don't know what, you're no more. You don't exist. Where is a God that existed in your head? Or you can say, oh, he exists. Yeah, sure, right? But that entire thing could be this entire thing could be a delusion. I'm not illusion like Maya. They can say it, right? But that's a whole different area. We don't want to go in there. But so God is. It's the same thing with any place. Anybody who taps into any uh, any area of God, divinity, spirituality, they turn that into a huge revenue garnering source. Spirituality, big business. You people want spirituality. People want to talk about it. God, you create, temples, churches, mosques. Yes, big money. Uh, Take a place like Vatican. So they say, I'm not making this up. Don't foist me. I'm looking in, using this the we are living in the digital era. I'm losing the digital equipments to enhance my knowledge and expand my scope of understanding. So some people use it for entertainment. Yeah, if you want to use it for entertainment, yeah, you will be entertained, but it'll dull your brain, because entertainment. We'll talk about that in a moment. Entertainment dulls the brain. It is an addiction. Entertainment is an addiction. Entertainment comes out to you in different forms. It could be movies. It could be It could be sports, it could be music, all these entertain you. Anyway, that in a moment I'll talk about. Anyway, God, like take a place like Vatican. What is Vatican? It's a religious place. But what about Vatican? Vatican owns. It is said, you can look it up, Google it up. Over, uh, I think, 70 or 75 hectares. Hectare 70 or 75 million hectares of land mass in the world is owned by Vatican. So 70 or 75 hectares, is that how you say it? Hectares is will come to cross. Approximately will come to about 150 million acres of land. 150 million or millions of acres. 150 millions of acres of the earth, the land. You go do the try to conceive in your mind. Okay. So that's and also Vatican is said to own more corporations in the in US more than any other entity. So there is money there. There's money. Take a temple like Tirupati temple in India, South India. I think it's in Telangana or Telugu state, Andhra state. Said to be the richest temple. Oh, the amount of money rolling there. People go there. They think it's that deity is powerful, not realizing it's the collective consciousness coming. The more numbers, more people go there, the deity becomes. If nobody goes there, that deity is going to be powerless, right? That deity becomes power. We transfer our collective consciousness in large millions and billions of individuals like water droplets coming together making an ocean. We transfer our power of consciousness to that temple or that altar or that whatever you worship, right? And then people go ask for favors. Oh, deity, help me. The collective consciousness somehow seems to have uh, a power over us. I don't know what it is. Mind over matter. Uh, it could be the spiritual placebo. I have known so many people. I've known a scientist, an oncologist, who argues that there is. She's not from this part of the world. She's from the Eastern Europe, but now she's in Australia, working as an oncologist. She vows there is a God. She's a scientist. She goes around the world in science research, cancer research, and whatnot. She says there is a God. You may not believe. I know through experience. And she worships a saint by the name Varia. Saint Varia is a Saint Barbara is known as Varia in that part of the world. Anyway, she's doing well in Australia. God bless her. And the point of all that is, uh, people. She says through experience when she was in the most difficult situations in life, when she prayed, it worked. I know a friend who almost died, and the doctors almost gave up hope. He said, "No, going to live for maybe a few weeks, most a month." Then he took a vow upon, went to a church, took a vow, miraculously healed. And if I talk to him, he says, "No point talking to you. You don't believe this. If you don't believe, it doesn't exist. If you believe, it exists. I know in my life it exists." Now he's donating his money to hospitals, the doctors who cured him, because he said that those doctors were missing. But he says it's his prayers, is the vow he took, cured him. The God, Jesus Christ cured him, right? Uh, so something comes to my mind. I should not say it. Also, I'll refrain from saying it. Uh, you'll see, it's don't take it. It's I'm not denigrating. When the Westerners went to South Africa. South Africa was ruled by three colonial powers, just like Sri Lanka. They started with Portuguese and then the Dutch, Hollanders, and finally the British ruled it. When if you watch the program called Chaka Zulu, Zulu is a tribe in South Africa, and the Westerners are trying to the Western clergymen trying to trying to convince the Zulu tribe leader, you know what? This is the God. This is Son of God, Jesus Christ, and he can save your soul. And the Zulu king, Zaka, seated there listening to this guy, and he has this strange smile, I mean, and he says, "So, the God, your Son of God, is going to save my soul?" The clergyman says, "Yes, this is the true God. What you're worshipping is not God. That's a false God." And the Zulu leader, the tribe's leader, the king, tribal leader says, "But your God was crucified. He couldn't even save himself. You're saying he could save me?" So it doesn't make sense. Someone who cannot save himself trying to save the world. So that's the South African Zulu logic, because they didn't understand, I guess. By the way, I'm not denigrating, or I'm not trying to hurt anybody's religious sentiments. I don't subscribe to any religion. I love all religions. I love I love all religions. At the same time, I criticize anything that I see it's incompatible with human wisdom, logic, reason, right? So anything, you got to be rational in anything. So I criticize the Hindu religion. I criticize everything. I don't hate any race. I love everybody. I At the same time I hate everybody. I love myself. I hate myself. I'm a dichotomy unto myself. So that's a part. Okay, ballot. We spoke about money. It's an expression of collective consciousness. Ballot paper, the electoral process, is an expression of collective consciousness. Uh, we spoke about God. It's an expression of our collective consciousness. Larger the number, greater greater the power of God you worship, either this God or that God or the other God. Or more number means more power, right? And the God doesn't come with the power of his own. It's just our collective consciousness that confers the powers. That's that. Celebrity status. Celebrity. I said entertainment is dulls the brain. It becomes an addiction. It relaxes you, but when you become addicted, you become. That's why in Tamil Nadu, only in Tamil Nadu, in the entire India, they do that. Celebrities, the superstars, the posters are there. They go pour the milk on that. That's a Hindu tradition or Hindu ritual to pour milk on. Milk is pure. It nurtures humankind. It sustains and nurtures humankind. Without When there is no mother, a child can be weaned and can be raised, can be fed with cows milk, and can grow into a human being. So milk is life sustaining source, and that's why they pour it. This is our life. They pour it, I guess, on the shrines, Hindu shrines. It came from the. That's another subject. It came from the Brahminic culture, from the Indo-Aryan Zoroastrian culture that came into India in the I guess primordial times. They came from. They had a religion in Iran, Persia at the time, called Zoroastrian. They worshipped fire because fire burns all the evil. So that they throw everything into fire. Fire burns evil. Little do I realize fire burns everything. Fire not only burns evil, but it burns good too. But anyway, anything that burns evil is holy. So they worship fire. They worship the elements of ancient mankind. Worship the elements in nature. Thunder, fire, but fire was their worship. So the Brahminic tradition comes from there. They see, if you look at a temple ritual in the Brahminic temple ritual, for that matter, everything is Brahminic in India temples. When they do the ritual, they has fire. They throw everything into the fire. Okay, you take it. You're holy, and all my sins will go into this and absolve my sins. Everything. That's a ritual. But the biggest sin is this, segregating humankind by birth, giving them a brand. You belong to this caste. That's the worst sin you can commit in your life, right? Brahmins who perpetuated this sin are culpable. I don't want to say anything more than that. Okay, right. And India is subject to the disease of mind called caste, embroiled in caste system. You can separate human beings. We are subject to the same human fibers: love, hate, kindness, compassion, greed, selfishness, ego. All that is there. It's common to all humankind, all races, all across the world, right? But all humankind, all men are created equal. Now that's a slogan, but that's not. If you literally take it, it means nothing. But what it says is we should enjoy all equal rights because we are human, right? But no two human being is created equal. One person is more intelligent than you. The other person, one person is 2 inches taller than you. One person has a different skin complexion. One person has a different constitutional makeup or constitutional predisposition for diseases from the other. One person feels differently. One person has a different, uh, with different maybe secret aberration from the other, right? We are no, and they don't show it. We see no two human beings. One person is more benevolent, compassionate. The other, from the other. So no two people are created equal, right? But I'm a, I like this guy. He's a statue, but he's the coolest guy ever lived. He said, do not believe anything anybody says, right? You find out for yourself. In his, he said it in Pali language, dead language, but the translation comes to or tantamounts to, be a lamp unto yourself. Do not look up to others. Don't try to find the truth in holy books. Don't try to look for the truth in some wise man's words. Be a lamp unto yourself. It's deep inside you, deep beneath you. Look for your lamp. So that's why I love this guy. I don't know if he looked like that, but that's that's a depiction of that person in a statue form. So that's that. Uh, why I'm saying all this is uh, now celebrity status is something, collective consciousness, boom, goes up. And celebrities, be it a sports star, a movie star, a musician, or whatever, a vocalist, I don't know. They, we, our collective consciousness, when they, with our adulation, we propel them to the higher status where they are able to tap into, or they become money is an expression of collective consciousness. They have direct access to our collective consciousness, which is also money. Without our collective consciousness, they will be one of us ordinary people. So that's collective consciousness of humanity. Finally, coming to myself, who am I? I was, let's separate life into three phases. First phase of my life was in Colombo, Sri Lanka. I witnessed everything, both sides, Sinhalese, Tamil, they call it racial rights. It's not racial rights, ethnic rights. Race has different connotations in the Western mind. Race has something to do with skin color. In a country like Sri Lanka, it's not skin color; it's the ethnicity. Two different languages. So people who spoke Sinhalese majority, 80%, minority less than, I guess, maybe 18%. I don't know the exact, but demography has changed time to time. Okay, people have moved, all that. So I've witnessed all that ethnic violence, ethnic genocide in 1983. After that, I left my second phase of life, 36 years, 4 years in Europe. I've been to different countries, and then came to Canada. I wanted to come to US, and so it so happened I ended up in Canada. Last 32 years I've been here. What have I got to do with YouTube? I started it for fun 5 years ago, but I was shy. Why I was shy? Because someone who goes on YouTube gets noticed by anyone in any part of the world. I was working at the time, so I didn't want my employees or anybody or work to know that I'm on YouTube doing this. I don't want them to think that I have nothing better to do in my spare time. I'm going on YouTube and saying things, and sometimes it can be perceived as someone who can be a nuisance for them, because what if someone who has this medium goes and says something bad about their organization, it can be everybody can see, so they might have reservation. So I was shy, not shy in the sense not shy, but I was a little worried about my uh, my well-being, meaning I don't want anything turning detrimental to me, because I was living from paycheck to paycheck to this day. So anyways, I lived in Canada 30 years. I've completed I guess more 30 years and work experience. And so last year, in Canada you can boom, you complete 20 years, you can get a pension, but it won't be a full pension, maybe 50%. If you complete 30 years, you can get about 65%, but if you complete 40 years, you get your full pension. So when I completed 30 years last year, I applied for pension. Boom. I didn't want to wait for completing 40 years. Who knows? And anything is possible. So I applied for pension, and I took time off. 30 years, I thought I need a break. The break became prolonged. Now, last 9 months, I'm home, and I'm kind of enjoying this. I've worked in my life, like you wouldn't believe. I've done everything that is there. I even worked in the court system as the courtroom clerk. I worked in the lower court as a clerk, and went to the higher court, and where it's not judges, it's justices in the Superior Court of Ontario, and I worked as their liaison in the courtroom clerk, who is known as registrar in the civil court, not in the criminal court. All that I've done, I've seen very eminent men, I've spoken to very eminent people. Uh, I lived a life came a full circle. I've seen so much. And the other day, when I was speaking to somebody, he said, you have been exposed to so much. You have been in Europe, you have been around the world, and you even anyway, so many things. The things that you talk, others don't have this exposure and experience. Why don't you go and talk about these things? I said, we'll do it. But then he said, why don't you write a book? I said, writing a book? I already wrote a book. Uh, you see, Dexter Nathan, long awaited dawn. You see that boy? He's looking, it's a silhouette of, is that how you say, silhouette of a boy looking at the dawn, hoping there will be dawn. But if you see in the back, do you see my picture? That's right. This was written back in 2000. 2004, I wrote, I self-published it, and in 2012, I signed up with a company called Create Space, partnered up with Amazon, the biggest company in the world. So Create Space has an agreement with Amazon. If you publish with Create Space, it'll go on Amazon. If you look up in Amazon, you'll see it. But the point is, it's not mass market publishing. I'm not making money. Because yes, they say the contract is 25%, but I'm not represented by an agent. I did it for fun. I did it because it was therapeutic. I want to get it out of my chest, things through a story. It's a fiction. The fiction did come from nowhere, you can understand. And But people who read the story say, wow. And different people say it's all their story, but it's not their story. Uh, some Irish lady who read says, so much happened in Sri Lanka. This reminds me of what my parents went through in Ireland. Really? Okay, everything you describe. And then another person, he's from Moldova, former Soviet country, a friend, a good friend to this day. He's no longer in Canada, he's in France with his family. To this day, he's a friend. I can say he's a friend. Uh, he said he read the book, he speaks like 7, 8 languages. Uh, and he's a very interesting character. He read the book about before he goes to the third chapter. He says, "How do you know all about this about me?" I said, "What do you mean? You're writing about me." I said, "How come? No, everything you're describing that happened in my life, really?" Okay, someone, a lawyer, lady that I met about 15 years ago said, you know the man you're describing, Rajshekhar? You're talking about my ex-husband. He's a law school professor. I married him when I was 27 years old as a law student, and he was 47. Our marriage ended up on rocks, and we have a son. And we are talking about him. How do you know about him? Right? Really? I don't know. So many people have said so many things. Right? Oh my God, you know what? Humanity, you make a cross section of humanity, we have so much in common. That's what it is. So, book, uh, leave the book aside. I'm not making money because I don't have an agent. I got a letter from Amazon saying, hey, you want every 100 books they pay royalty. You want to get your royalty, you have to sign. And the letter has like a 15 or 16 page form, all the US taxes and everything. I looked at, I had dizzying spells. I put it in the dustbin. I don't want your royalty. I want my peace, right? See, so the book is there. Everybody can take a look. Interesting thing is this was in year 2004. Some Australian movie director was looking for a story based in a foreign culture. He wanted to make a movie, and a friend of mine who had given the book to him, and he read the book and he took a great liking. He said, "I want to buy the movie rights." Had he bought the movie rights, life would have I would have been in a different position in life. My life would have changed in a different sense. May not have become better, but in terms of affluence and wealth would have been I could have used that wealth to do so many good things in life, to spread the joy and peace, and to 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 people who are less fortunate than I. That's one thing that I couldn't do. I discharged my duties well, to the fullest, in my family, and I also feel a certain emptiness in me, because in the end, family, siblings, I feel like it's all based around uh, the underlying element of money, and so it seems like everything has a streak of, well, don't want to say anything, and so that's life. But now I'm in my third phase of my life, right? I could do what I want. If you subscribe to my channel, I know my channel's it's long because I'm so full of when I want to say so many things, and I don't prepare a script. I just speak like I'm speaking to you, so I lose track. But if you subscribe to my channel, I will try to create interesting videos. Please do. If you do, you know what you're doing. Collective consciousness coming together. I spoke extensively about it. What happens? This becomes a revenue generating channel. When that happens, what happens? I don't need the money. I have food on my table, I have a roof overhead. This may be a very small place. It looks maybe on the camera a little bigger. But it's a little bigger than a room in a hotel, but it has a kitchen and bathroom. That's all I need. I don't even have a room here. It's just everything, living room, bedroom, everything. It's what you call a bachelor's apartment or studio apartment. I'm content. This is my ashram, this is my palace, this is my everything. I don't want anything more. Right? I've done whatever I made. The people who need it have it. Right? I'm happy, content. So if this becomes a money revenue generating channel by you subscribing, well, interestingly, I checked, 93% of my people have not subscribed. Only 3% of the people, viewers, have subscribed. 3% has given me 63 viewers. So what do you need? Like 1,000? Uh, I don't know how many subscribers you need. What is it? I don't know. To become to for YouTube to consider this a revenue generating channel. If that happens by your subscription, it doesn't cost you anything. If you do, I don't need anything. I promise. And I'm looking at someone like an actor like Surya who's educating Indian students. I want to contribute everything it's coming through this channel to something like that to educate. And I'm also looking at Sri Lanka, where the Indian Tamil population in the upcountry. I just recently took notice, that's why it triggered my thoughts. A Canadian husband and wife, they're teachers, they went there and they got married. I think they were married when they were together. They went there, and they were teachers, English teachers. They taught that community, the upcountry, downtrodden community that is being ostracized both by the Sri Lankan Tamils, North and East, Sinhalese, you name it, the entire country. Nobody is. Nobody is talking about them because that Indian Tamil community has gone through so many hardships to this day. See, Indians have gone to different parts of the world through the colonial powers. The the British took Indians to Malaysia. They took for the tea plantation Malaysia, tea plantation in Sri Lanka, uh, sugarcane plantation in Mauritius, cotton plantation in South Africa, and Guyana, British Guyana. There are three Guyanas: British, French, and Suriname. Dutch Guyana, British Guyana. There are Tamils, large number of, most of them are Tamils from South India. They were there. Trinidad, Tobago. So there's so many places the British colonial masters took us. But everybody out there in Malaysia, they're doing fine. In Mauritius, they're doing fine. In South Africa, they all lost their language, the Tamil language. Like countries like Mauritius, they're still, you know, Tamil, but they lost the language. A friend of mine from Mauritius, he's asking me, have you watched Palum Palamu? You watch Tamil movies? I say, yeah. Have you watched Palum Palamu? I was smiling. Have you watched Padikka the Mede? Right? He doesn't speak Tamil. I said, yeah. Have you watched Kairasi? Those are the movies. You don't have movies like that coming from India. I was smiling. He doesn't understand the language, but he has watched it, and so that's about Mauritius, my personal experience. But all these Tamils are doing fine. I mean, when I say fine, they're like anybody else, right? But the upcountry, the Indian Tamil population, the downtrodden in every way, they're ostracized in India too, in Tamil Nadu, and they for their livelihood with the children, they went there, and for the last 200 years, their fate hasn't changed. I want this Canadian couple, the teachers, when they are teaching English to them, and those kids, the upcountry Tamil kids, they're speaking in so heartening in English, and they might move with that language. They might find jobs in mercantile corporations, private corporations. They might work in the computer fields. Their life is changing. They won't be laborers. In this book, a good part of it talks about the upcountry Tamil. It talks about the Sri Lankan history. It talks about two families from totally different cultures. It's like Charles Dickens' Tale of Two Cities. What happens between the two families and the family members, the children, how they are so diverse from one another, but that family had such close friendship. Uh, you can, in a nutshell, you can say it's it's a friendship of two families from two different cultures, but they came together. Humanity brought them together. They were they were more than friends. They were more than family. Those two families, and the trials and tribulations and their aspirations, where destiny took them into different continent. Sounds interesting? That's the story. Now, should I write another? I have already written another book that gotten me into trouble with such just because it's a political treatise. So I posted some of those essays in YouTube, not YouTube. I mean, Facebook. I got into trouble. Hereafter, I will not offend anybody. Forgive me, humble being. I'm not a parasite. I'm an earthworm doing the best for the farmers, to the community, for the people who are feeding the humanity. So I'm not a worm in the sewer. I'm a worm in the mud, worm in the soil. Okay? That's it. If you contribute, if you subscribe, it'll help me to do something with your subscription, which doesn't cost money. Do something to the world before. I don't know how long I'm going to be around. I don't know. Could it be another week? Will I wake up tomorrow morning? I don't know, because I had a near death experience 7 months, and the death was smiling upon me. I smiled back and said, "Hold on, buddy." So, so I've got an extended lease on life. So that's where I am in this third phase of my life. Thank you for listening for my. I know it's long. Forgive me for that. Thank you. God bless you.